Welcome to the You Decide podcast. I'm Dr. Tiffany. We are going to bring you stories of ordinary people who have chosen to live an extraordinary life, outside of their comfort zones and into confidence, possibility, and certainty. You are just one decision away from living your most aligned life, because let's get real, that's what we all want.
Hey guys, Cal is back again. In all of these months of COVID, we never podcasted. Oh my gosh. So what we're going to talk about is COVID. And not so much that, of course, but the forced time off and what she did with it. I think she's going to be able to speak for a lot of people her age on how difficult it was in the beginning. And then how you just started to transition in it. And by the end of this, we're going to talk about the lessons she learned and what she is kind of, living by, right? You kind of have a different perspective on things.
Mm-hmm. What I've kind of taken out of it and what I'm going to use.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, you guys speak clear, not like we're whispering on the phone to each other.
Okay.
Oh, geez, she's like she's a little kid every now and then.
I don't speak.
Okay, so can we just go through number one? We were on vacation when things happened. Being in North Dakota, things were starting to be talked about the week before we left. Some things were starting to close, but there was not imminent closure. So we went on our vacation, 3/4 of it at least, and got back, and the world was frozen. Can you go through, at this time she was in her spring soccer season, going to school at MSUM, working out every day, like she was kind of in the grind of the off season, but excitement coming forth, right, with some games scheduled. And let's just go through the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks were a little rough, which I imagine if kids you're listening, if moms you're listening in regards to your kids, those few weeks were kind of tough when things were canceled. So go ahead. Let's just kind of talk through the beginning and the challenge of it, and then moving through what you've kind of learned.
Well, so MSUM's spring vacation or spring break was a week before the high school. So when we took ours, so I had basically 2 weeks off. So we had our MSUM one and then our one we were going to take for Florida. Well, we were home the week before and things started to kind of get a little dicey. But like we kind of all moved out of the dorms, not moved out, but everyone's gone. And then we go to Florida and we come back and everything is shut down. MSUM's emailing us saying that we're not going back. Everything's online. You need to move out of the dorms. And so like all of us soccer girls, we haven't said bye to each other. Half of the girls live Kansas, Washington, Mm-hmm. So like I haven't seen some of these girls forever. And
end of February.
We didn't get closure. It's not like we knew a week in advance that, hey, like in a week, this is going to be bad. We'll all leave. So it's kind of been an adjustment as like, okay, well, spur of the moment, you kind of like say your goodbyes over FaceTime and
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So right away, what was a relief? Like what was kind of nice until you realize this is going to be for the next 3 months?
Well, we got more of a break. So like we've been on and on and on for soccer, like always on. If we get a day off, like if MSUM gives us a day off, we always have soccer. And so our last break was Christmas break. So like you just look forward to your next break to go home and just have nothing to do for a week. So then it was like, oh, it got extended. And then it got extended another week. Okay, well, maybe in April we'll go back. And then it was like kept getting extended and then they called it. So it was nice having an unexpected break, just like when school cancels in the morning for like a snowstorm, and you're like, oh, awesome, unexpected day off. It kind of felt like that. Like everyone was kind of happy they got their spring break extended and got to be home. But I mean,
So then what, where did it turn?
that like, oh, I'm not going back and I have to move my stuff off and I'm not going to say bye to any of these people. Like freshman year dorm life is done.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think the hardest for me was I have to move back in, and I don't want to have to live with people again and like live on their schedule and live by people all the time and not have my own, like, it's nice coming home, but then having my own place in the dorms, or, you know.
I think that's one of the things that was the most difficult that I observed, at least, was you had a taste of independence and freedom, and then you come back home to us. And we all get along really well and love each other, and you have a great relationship with Gavin. You love to be around your animals, but there's definitely, sorry about our dog. Oh my goodness. There was definitely a, like, this has been taken away from me, right?
Like a sadness, like you can't, like grief kind of, you know, like I can't do anything about this. It's taken away and I just have to live with it. But like, you can't change it. Everything's shutting down and you can't change.
Right.
Like, but thankfully, like, it's everyone. So it was every high school. It was every college. It wasn't just like the North Dakota, Minnesota area, or like, I think the nationwide shutdown was better than it just being a region. Because then everyone on social media and everyone
was struggling with the same
right,
stuff.
and you could just reach out and
which I think this is why this is important, because it's not you just sharing your story. It's about, and that's why I want to get into the nitty gritty, not just the surface BS here, because everybody's used to that. So if you say, hey, how you doing? And everyone's doing online school, and although online school sucks, everyone says, I'm fine. And how's your family? Oh, I'm fine. Yet they stay in bed all day. Nothing new is happening. There are some provinces that seriously just opened a few weeks ago. There's some states that are still closed. I mean, we're lucky where we are that you were able to be with a few friends right away. So you got that ability to connect, like in human life connection with a hug, you know. But how do you think, I'm going to go into the lessons that you learned a little bit later, but like, how did you see people from a connection standpoint? How did you, like, what did you notice? What were the struggles?
well, like, you could kind of tell who was a good communicator, like, to begin with. As a friend, I'm the person that reaches out a lot, like, hey, how are you? Or like, hey, let's get together, I miss you. But like, a lot of people aren't like that. Like, personalities don't check in, you know, like, hey, how are you doing? Just a text. So like, you could tell you just lost connection with people. Like the people that weren't good at bringing people together, or like the leaders kind of, I could tell. I was like, oh yeah, like I have to put in some effort if I want to stay connected to them. And the ones that I want, like, the soccer leaders on the field also are off the field. So those are the, like, you can tell who, like, not worldwide, but like all around. I don't know the word for that.
Yeah, all around leader though. Yeah.
You can tell that they've worked on that, and then they have the outside of soccer. So like the people that haven't, like, there's a few soccer girls I haven't talked to since February, and personally I think if you're not someone who reaches out or tries to connect people, like especially soccer teams, so that's like a team sport, like that translates directly into the soccer, the people that are trying to bring everyone together. And for me, it was hard to see the people that I thought were super close to me, or that I thought wanted to talk or that stuff, that they never reached out. And some people, their personality is not to asked to hang all the time, and I get that. But I've definitely realized who is putting in effort and who actually like,
Yeah.
you know, because it is taking more effort. We're so busy with figuring out being at home now, and then you have online school, that we don't have a ton of time. So the time that they're using to reach out to you, it just means a lot more, I think.
Yeah. That's how relationships work. It's a give and take energy, right? And so in that, you've realized that friends might maybe a little bit different than what they were, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
If you're not with them, seeing them every day.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because in that respect, it's easy to connect with people when your schedules are created to be together all the time. A lot more difficult when you have to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think those are amazing, like, life lessons. And I would say the same for adults. I mean, we would say the same as, like, thankfully I have been exposed to a lot of people at work and adjusting people, but even from a personal standpoint, there were a few people that we talked to the whole time, and other ones that we were maybe together a decent amount prior, but they didn't go out of their way either. So I think for you kids, you know, I mean, whether you're 10 years old or 20 years old, those are all just things to note. It doesn't mean that it won't shift again, but I think one of the other things you learned was to give energy to the people that you wanted to give energy not just the people that you thought you had to, right?
That you have to spend time with, that you kind of have to just be okay with being with them.
Yeah.
Like, I can choose who I wanted to be with. I would feel bad that because I saw them every day, like, I had to hang out with them. And now I'm like, I realize, like, if I don't want to hang out with them, I'm not going to go out of my way and waste energy trying to pretend that I want to be with you.
Yep.
And it wastes more energy pretending and being negative, like the negative feeling, than oh, I feel bad, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's a big, so just knowing, I think what we talked about before we were going to get on here is, one of the points was being addicted to being busy. And these kids have been busy their whole life. You've been busy your whole life from the time you started little girl basketball and soccer, and you've had stuff all the time. Summers have been a crazy time with all of the camps and team camps and babysitting and in soccer, right? All of the things. So when kids then go from this addicted to being busy, because we as adults we haven't taught our kids how to just chill out, and now you have nothing. How did you start some of the hobbies that you love? Or, like, how did you transition out of, you had nothing to do except for school, and you went a little bit OCD on school for the first week too, right? Because you had time to do it. That didn't mean it was enjoyable, and that didn't mean that the extra time paid off, though. Once you shifted, you started filling your days with more meaning.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks I didn't feel like it was, like, I had no creativity, nothing like to motivate me to keep, it was just school every day. I'd wake up, it was the same thing every day. Like, I need something to look forward to, or projects, or like some creativity. So we started redoing your room.
Oh yeah.
That was the first thing. You guys were like, okay, well, I'll pay you to move furniture around and get us new sheets and decorations and just make our room look like we live there.
She created it. She created a budget. She created the shopping sheet. She shopped. She moved the furniture out of there, and she sold that furniture.
Yes.
That was our first project.
And so then, like, I kind of just started doing other things like that. So I did my room, and then you had a few things at your office that you wanted repainted or moved around, and just, I don't know, finding those things that, like, you paid me, so I wanted money too. Like, you couldn't get any job. Everything was closed.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that was just like, okay, I have a little bit of money, and I feel like I'm not stagnant,
Yeah.
while getting to do something. So
Stagnant. Tell me what stagnant feels like.
Like when you're really hungry.
Oh my gosh, what?
Like bare. Like there's nothing. What? That's
No,
what
I mean, I get it.
like you're like there's nothing.
So there's no
no
energy,
Yeah.
there's no creativity, there's bleh.
Like you need food. Come on. Like, you know?
Oh, yeah. Because I think of stagnant as just being flat and gray.
Yeah, that. But like you need to eat in order to get to feel
Energy.
better and, you know,
Right.
hungry.
Hungry. Stagnant is hungry. Tell me what stagnant does for your soul.
Turns it black. I don't know. It just makes it feel gross. Like it takes a lot more energy to get it back. So it makes it sad.
Yeah.
You know?
So can you tell when you're stagnant? And if you can tell, what's your first thing that you do?
Add more things to my schedule, I guess.
Hey, good awareness.
Well,
So
I
that
do.
you don't-
If
so
it
you don't
feels
have to
like
think about
blah, I just keep adding things that maybe would help.
Do you know what will help? Like now that we're through this stuff, now when you feel stagnant, do you know what can shift it?
Well, like friends, if I hang out with friends, I've definitely prioritized that more. I used to not as much.
Mhm.
And I always had I needed to be alone. And now I'm like, okay, well, it was the wrong people. So,
Yeah.
But that brings me up. But then so like it changes my mood. But I still need to fix what was making me stagnant. So like the friends help, but like, is it because I'm working all the time and I'm so overwhelmed that I need to reduce hours, and
Mhm.
find more time to just relax? Like you still have to figure out what the reason why you feel stagnant, because you can add positivity, but like you have to get rid of what was bad.
Right.
Or
what was creating that. Yep. I wouldn't say bad. I mean,
But-
to you, it feels bad, but the more aware we get, the more you start to know what is triggering that. And that would be what you'd consider bad, right? That like, ooh, yeah, I don't want to do this and I don't want to go there and I don't want to be with that person. I would rather say no than say yes and deplete myself and be more stagnant, right? Which takes a lot of courage. Because
I don't say no much.
Right. And how easy is it just to go along with it? And then at the end, you're like, oh, that was a waste of my 3 hours.
I know. The worst part is when you say yes and you're there and you're like, when can I go home? I wish I would have.
Right. But that's the key, is to be aware of when you feel like that. And then you say no next time. And I think anybody listening, we all have, our social circles change all the time. Our friends change. And oh my gosh, from the time you're 15 to 25, especially, massive changes in who surrounds you. And so I think the realization that either I'm around the people that bring me massive joy or I'm not is huge. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else? She's about ready to draw a picture on her hand.
Could you tell?
Yes. She's been like writing on her arm just about, or trying to pull a piece of paper out.
Well, sometimes when I can doodle, I can think.
Okay, well, doodle.
Okay, what's the next question?
Do you remember the rough times of COVID, the times that you were in overwhelm, and how you got out of it?
So every other week. I'm serious. It's like I need a restart button.
What do you mean?
It's just like when new things come up, my body doesn't adjust to stress and like a lot. Like when I had to start nannying and golf course and soccer, like I need time for my body to like get used to it, or I like am so like overwhelmed. I don't know.
Yep, she doesn't adapt that well. She's a slow adapter, right?
Well, and it makes me sad. Like my overwhelming, I get sad. So if I feel overwhelmed, I'm sad that I can't be hanging out with friends, or I wish I would have more time, because I don't want to look back. Every time I'm overwhelmed, it's like recently it's been because I don't want to wish I would have not worked as much this summer. Like, I don't want to wish that something different. I don't want to wish,
Regret.
like,
You don't want to regret anything.
right. I don't want to wish I would have gone to the lake more, or,
Yeah. That's good. I mean, there's a little bit of foresight in there, and there's also the intuitive nature of, hey, this is what feels right now. And I think for anybody listening, it's important to know how long it does take to process and how long it takes to adapt to new things. So for her, she went from school for 3 to 4 weeks, and then nothing for a month, and then 2 jobs and soccer training. And that was way too much. So you can't forecast everything, but understanding that when you then add a few things in, and when we're addicted to busy, that's all we do is just add in all this blank or this task stuff to the blank space that helped us adapt, right? Blank space helps you, not too much, not too much alone time. You thought you needed way more than you do.
yeah.
I
But
believe
like
that.
I said, it was the wrong people.
Yeah, when you're around the right people in the right situations in the right environment. I'm the introverted extrovert, or the extrovert introvert, and I need alone time, but I also know when too much is not good, and when I need the right people around me.
But I've figured that out too. Like, okay, well, the people that aren't reaching out to me and I don't really care for, I don't need to reach out to and waste, like, if I need that, I know exactly who I can go to,
Yes, right.
those like 5 people instead of all the, like, I'm friends with a lot of people. And so like a lot of times I struggled with, well, I have a lot, but I don't have close. Like, I never had a situation where I could find who I was close to, because I've had 20 people on a soccer team every year. I was just friends with them all.
Yeah.
Like, this has definitely brought me closer to like who,
Which is, and I think is normal for an athlete, for sure, a multi-sport athlete, because you're friends with who you spend time with. Goodness, I mean, you didn't have a lot of time for anybody else. So when you're in basketball, you're with basketball, and when you're with soccer, you're with soccer, and when you're training for all that, you're with those people, and you become closer to those people, right? When you have free space, you get to decide who fills it, and that's what I think you have learned.
And like, my next stage will be when everything goes back to normal, to figure out how to say no, or how to spend less time with the people I don't want to be around without it being rude. So like, I don't want to be the person that's like no, or like rude around you, but I don't want to be with you.
I don't want to spend the 1 hour of free time that I have with that person in that situation. Yep.
And I'd rather, so like, that will be my next step, how to figure out how to communicate with them, or not even care. Like, I care too much sometimes. So like, to just like blow it off. Okay, well, I'm sure they don't even think about that. I'm not asking them to hang out. So like, why am I caring? Why do I worry that they don't,
right,
that they're sad? So obviously there's a fine line between not including people, but I don't know. That could be the next one. Once like September hits, after stuff starts up, we can talk about
how did it go?
Yeah, and how to actually go about it, not being with people when you're around them. So
and life gives us groups of people for a reason, so that we learn how to adapt to them, whether we like them or not. And on any team, on any work team, sport team, family team, you're going to have situations that aren't ideal. You're going to be in situations with people who you don't necessarily care for, but you need to figure out, right? And that is part of it. It's part of like, how are you in a situation with people that some you love and some you don't? Because you still got to make it work. You can't avoid them. You can't be snotty. You can't disclude.
Right.
Right? So there's that. And I believe it's all communication and believing in yourself to, like you said, to be confident enough to say no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that'll be a fun topic to talk about when that's relevant.
Yeah, but I mean, you're foresighting it so you can start to work. I mean, not obsess about it, but
just think about what I would say and
how that looks. Yep. Okay, any remarks you want to leave these people with, whether they're a parent of a teenager or a teenager like you?
I don't know. Just like we talked about the filling your time with, like I've mentioned to my mom, time is, what was I?
Precious.
Yeah, time is precious. So summer's busy for everyone and spending time at the lake and working and stuff. So just to find the people and the things you want to do that make you, that give you energy and don't leave you stagnant. So
yeah, bring joy and bring happiness.
Yeah.
Right.
And it takes a while to figure out. I mean, you'll be in different situations, and I'm glad this situation brought out those close friends, and like that's what I've taken out of this. That's the biggest plus out of this whole COVID situation is the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks guys. Would love to hear your feedback as always. If you have any questions for me or Cal, you just let us know. And P.S. we got new pictures taken, so they're going to be cute this time.
Yep.
Yep.
We look good.
Woo. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for listening and being willing to go all in. Ditch the excuses and the comfort zones and make a decision that nothing can stop you. You can find the show notes below, and I'd love for you to share, subscribe, and rate this podcast, but only if you love it.